All right, it is finally go time here on Leech Lake. Got pretty much everyone blasted off. I am boat 205, weighing in at 410, so pretty long day out there on Leech. I'm really torn on what to do as far as go chase smallmouth or largemouth. I've got a decent largemouth area, and but I know those fish are going to get less pressure and they're more hidden and things like that. The smallmouth are definitely how you win here, and I just have this feeling like I should probably just go for the win and go fish hard for those smallmouth and hope that I see enough that it will eat and I can trigger them into biting. That's the hard thing. I might be able to go see 50 smallmouth in a day if I go do it all day, especially with the calmer conditions today. But getting them to actually bite is a different story. So you might only get 5 or 10 of them to bite unless you hit like a bite window at the right time. These fish here are super bite window dependent right now. I don't know why that is. You can go hours without one eating, and then all of a sudden they kind of fire and you catch a few. And then you go hours again without one eating. So that whole deal is weird. That's a act of nature, an act of God. But I'm just going to go out there and have fun. I still don't really know where I'm going to start, but I know when I've done my best in tournaments, I have not really known where I was going to start. I just go fishing. I don't even know what pattern I'm going to run first, honestly, in my heart. I'm just going to kind of go where I feel. And I have ADD, and I have the Holy Spirit leading me, and we'll just see what happens out there. But no guarantees, but I'm going to do my best. Next. 205. 410. That's right. Thank you. Thank you guys. Have a good day. So here on day number 1, I was boat number 205 out of like 212 boats. So I was way at the back of the pack. I knew a lot of the best places were going to be taken, of course. But I was a little torn. I had some largemouth stuff found where I was fishing offshore grass with a chatterbait in the morning and then throwing a jig around a little bit after that. And then I also had, of course, the smallmouth bite, which was very, very difficult to catch 5 bass a day doing. I love catching smallmouth, but this lake is a whole different world. There's so many crawdads in it, and the bass really tend to just be different on Leech Lake than any smallmouth I've ever chased. But I decided, as you can see, to get out there and start chasing some smallmouth, mixing up a little small crappie jig for some of them, and then also a drop shot for some of them. Tiny one for this place, but I'll take it. We just start. Just glad I caught a bass, to be honest. It'll settle me down a little bit. I didn't see him. It was a weird thing. 165 smallie, biggin from Leech. I threw a big minnow a lot for him. I threw the 5-inch scented jerk shads a lot on the finesse eyes, jig head, and also on a normal ball head. And I really struggled to get them to bite the big bait. And I don't know why that is. Maybe I just didn't stick with it long enough. But I knew from history from last year that a lot of the big ones got caught on a big minnow bait. But I have this little deal that I have a lot of confidence in. It's actually the tail of a Streaks 375 or the tail of a scented jerk shads, and I fish it on the OG Ned head, and it is a great combo. And I can throw it like 60, 70 feet, and it doesn't sink incredibly slow, but it's just small and subtle, and it gets bit, and big ones eat it too. Big old small. Dang it. That's what I need 5 of to do good over here. These things are bricks. 4.08. So for me, the hardest thing about Leech Lake the last couple years has been getting anything consistent going. So I'll catch a couple smallmouth, I'll be feeling good, and then I go on like a 2-hour dry spell where I never even have one really attempt to eat my bait or commit to it. So I ran through some crazy weather and decided to go largemouth fishing for a little while. And before I did that though, I got to show you this. This was probably the biggest thing I hooked all week. There you go. Big old muskie. Not what I was expecting, but it was pretty dang funny. After all that, are you freaking kidding me? You know, I really wanted to catch enough weight to qualify for the Bassmaster EQ series, and so here's where I adjusted, and you can see this crazy rainstorm I drove through. It only hit a small section of the lake, but of course, where I was going, I got hammered by it, and it felt like pinpricks on my forehead going 68 miles per hour in my Skeeter. But I got to where I was going, the weather got a little nicer, and I immediately got some bites on a chatterbait. So again, whole new pattern, and get bit pretty quick doing it, but will it last is the biggest question. You know, I was happy to have 4 keepers at the the mid-morning point of the day, and I was feeling like if I could just slow down and flip and fish these grass lines and punch a little bit on the offshore grass that I'd be able to catch them, and it just never happened. Again, I went 2 hours without a bite, and I decided to adjust again. I said, do I want to go chase smallmouth all day, or do I want to go have some fun and flip some reeds? So I went with the reed idea. It's a good one too. Look how healthy that fish is. if you can hear in the background, you could probably hear Scotty Scheffler making a birdie as I was listening to the PGA Tour event while I was catching bass. So that reed bite was in the first 30 minutes of doing it, and I went the rest of the day without getting a bite doing it, which is just weird. And I came here at the end of the day, right by the ramp. You can see me trolling in, looking on my scope that Bass Boat Electronics set up for me, and right away I just see one swimming. And you know, I'd thrown it a lot of bass that morning and throughout practice, and 90% of the time they don't eat. And of course this one comes up and slurps the crappie jig. So that fish right there culled me up 1.5 pounds, which was a huge deal with how tight the weights were, and I was very thankful to have it. And it got me into that mid-14 range where it wasn't a total bomb of a tournament, and I knew if I went and caught a limit the next day, I would qualify for the EQ series. Well, here I am at this beautiful place with my amazing family here at Lake Beltane, about 25 minutes from Walker, where we launched at Leech Lake, and it was a extremely tough day. As y'all saw, I think I only caught 6 keeper bass all day long and had that big muskie, which was cool. But it was hard. Like, I had to really grind, and catching that 3-pound smallmouth right at the end of the day, that was a huge deal. That culled me up like almost 1.5 pounds, which is a ton, and that moved me up I'd say probably 30 places with the way the weights are so stacked. But 16 something is getting paid. I had 14.5. I feel like I need about probably 17 or 18 tomorrow to get paid, and I think I'm going to target smallmouth all day, even though I don't want to do it, but I'm just going to go for it. So we'll see what happens. I want to try to catch 18 to 20 pounds and see where that puts me, maybe get a check and head on back to Bama.